A Big Ten championship to play for. Rumors galore on the recruiting front. Believe me, now is the time to subscribe to the Ohio State Football Report. And on top of all that, why not help us reach 20,000 subscribers? Hit that sub button right now. You may be surprised that we're talking recruiting when the Buckeyes are about to play for a Big Ten title, but Wednesday, December 3rd through the 5th is the early signing period for high school football, a big time for future Buckeyes to put their name to paper after all the madness of flips, NILs, commitments, verbal, written, pen to paper, official visits, non-official visits. I'll stop now. It's time to make sure these guys are going to become Buckeyes, and it's going to be a crazy day and a half going into that Wednesday. Now, there is National Signing Day in February. Some guys still making their decisions, waiting on coaching hires, so on and so forth. But Wednesday, a big one in the early signing day. And right now, Ohio State has climbed, now to 5 in the 24/7 Sports 2026 recruiting class rankings. You may recall the Buckeyes at one time were at 9 and threatening to fall out of the top 10. They went flipping, and they got plenty of recruits. They're now up to 5. Georgia lost the number 1 quarterback in the class. That bumped them back. That changed everything. Good chance Ohio State finishes steady towards the top. Really good stuff right now from Ohio State to put this class together late. Now, where we stand, what we need to watch, what we need to talk about going into Wednesday's early signing period, again, the 3rd through the 5th of December. There is no huge name waiting to see if he'll choose the Buckeyes or even a 4-star, 3-star that we really want to see if he goes Buckeyes. The big storyline, and we'll get to flips too. The Buckeyes have opportunities to flip and guys they want to keep from flipping. But the big storyline going into Wednesday is the wide receivers. Ohio State has a good class of around 4 or 5 wide receivers, depending on how you count athlete and things like that. But they want to keep these guys. The problem is schools are coming after multiple Ohio State wide receivers. Of course, we have kept you up to date. The big name here is Chris Henry Jr., the only 5-star in the class of 2026 for Ohio State. He is now the number 1 receiver in the class. Pure talent out of California. Verbally committed to Ohio State for a long time, but we know now his father's alma mater, West Virginia, and the big name Oregon coming at him, attempting to flip Chris Henry Jr. with what we believe is Nike money and promises of playing right away, which if you're good enough, you'll play right away at Ohio State. Cough, Jeremiah Smith, obviously. Jeremiah Smith's best example, money, playing time, all that. Alex Gleitman of On3 giving the latest this morning on the rumors surrounding Chris Henry Jr., despite the fact that Oregon is throwing a ton of NIL at Henry and his dad's alma mater, West Virginia, is also making a run. I think the future 5-star sticks, that is with the Buckeyes, of course. There's a chance for early playing time in Columbus, and he'll do more than fine on NIL front from the Buckeyes too. Again, Jeremiah Smith's the greatest example of you can play, make money, and be great early on in your Ohio State career. And again, Gleitman said no reason to change the early philosophy. It's a late push from Oregon. That's what's happening here. Those who believe he'll be a Buckeye will stay a Buckeye, have it down. The question is, do you think he'll be a Buckeye? I know a lot of you have left the comments, don't get into this. That's a rumor, so on and so forth. Hey, you think Chris Henry Jr. locked up, going to be a Buckeye like he said he's going to be? Spam your CJs in the comment section down below. We go from Chris Henry Jr. to his teammate, Kaden Dixon-Wyatt. That's right, Mater Dei in California. These boys were cooking this year. They had a really, really great year, and that's a gruesome twosome at wide receiver. However, again, Buckeyes have a lot of wide receivers, so you figured programs would go poaching, try and getting these guys to flip, promising them more money, promising them more playing time. Kaden Dixon-Wyatt is being approached also by Oregon, but USC is the dominant name right now, trying to go after Kaden Dixon-Wyatt, a 4-star. He actually surprised a lot of people that he joined up with Chris Henry Jr. because a lot of people thought he could maybe even, with a good senior season, become a 5-star and his own name going into a program. But the Trojans pressing pretty hard right now to snag Kaden Dixon-Wyatt. And again, Alex Gleitman breaking it down with On3, was making predictions also. Nothing is done yet. KDW has been saying all the right things publicly the past couple of weeks, but my latest intel from inside definitely supports the picks that came in for USC. And again, those are the picks to flip Kaden Dixon-Wyatt from the Buckeyes to the Trojans. Here's where I'm at with this. This was like the ultimate bonus. Nobody thought he would join up with Chris Henry Jr. and be a Buckeye. And like Gleitman said, he's been doing the right things, saying the right things. It would be tough to lose him, but there's a good chance he warrants a lot of money and again, is being sold on playing time, so on and so forth. I absolutely would hate to lose Kaden Dixon-Wyatt. I will add the Buckeyes are looking good at wide receiver, both in this class and up and coming on their roster as well. So it wouldn't be any sort of like dagger to this recruiting class if they lost Kaden Dixon-Wyatt. Want to let you guys know this episode brought to you by Prize Picks. Holiday season, best time of year for sports. You got bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, what game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right. Prize Picks. Simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. The best way to do those 2 players, by the way, you can follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app, copy their lineups in one click. Give me a friend, celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. You hit that follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab. Look at this bad boy. The Dak Pickens connection seeming to look really, really good this year for Dallas. So I like more on Dak's passing yards, more on George Pickens' receiving yards, and then Jahmyr Gibbs, who either goes off or stays light for the Lions. He stayed light last week. I think he's going to go off. I took more on his rushing yards at 74.5. So that's an example of a 3-player stat projection on Prize Picks. Now, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, you can choose flex play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. If you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter how you play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. More wide receiver talk on this 2026 recruiting class for Ohio State. Kaden Gebhardt, this is another guy who teams are coming after him, probably promising him money, playing time, so on and so forth for Ohio State. Back off, Lane Kiffin. You've caused enough trouble in the college football world this week. All of a sudden offering Gebhardt this opportunity. I don't like it. And the other thing here is, if your recruitment is shut down, if you're locked up with the Buckeyes just days away, why are we tweeting out bragging about offers we've gotten? Another one of those bonus guys, a 4-star for Ohio State. And again, he's another guy where it's like if you lose Kaden Dixon-Wyatt, you kind of feel okay because you have Kaden Gebhardt. But again, you don't like the talk of LSU. And at one point, he was looking at Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin. So that situation right there. But again, on 3's prediction there from Alex Gleitman is that he will rock with Ohio State during the early signing period, keeping them strong at the wide receiver position. However, my question for you now, how many wide receivers will Ohio State end up with in this class? They currently have 5 committed. As we are talking about now, who knows what's going to happen going into that early signing period? Ohio State currently with 5 wide receivers in this 2026 class. I want to talk about Jaden Ricketts for a second, the 3-star. He, like some of the guys we've talked about before, Gebhardt especially, doing his due diligence towards the end of this process. We saw him take a visit to West Virginia. Why do you keep hearing West Virginia? They put some money together. They're trying to make some moves. They can't get Chris Henry Jr. They're going to try and spend some money elsewhere, get some guys elsewhere. Got to keep an eye on Ricketts on the early signing period. If he decides playing time, money, so on and so forth is better at West Virginia and leaves that Ohio State group. Again, the Buckeyes have 5. I still feel okay if they lose one, but that's another name to watch possibly flipping out of Ohio State. Other names that we are watching flip-wise. Both guys the Buckeyes want to keep from flipping and guys they want to flip. Let's start with one of their own. Blaine Bradford, who was their other 5-star for a while. He lost that 5-star ranking. He is one of the big names filling out this secondary coming up. We mentioned in the Chris Henry Jr. rumors video before, Ohio State has these social media posts saying, I'm signing with Ohio State, I'm going to be a Buckeye. A lot of the guys putting those out, like making it known Wednesday they're good to go, everything's set. Everyone was waiting on Bradford. They were a little worried about the Lane Kiffin situation. Thankfully, yes, the upper-level safety did put that graphic out on social media, so that was good to go. The fear of SEC continues, though, with CJ Bronaugh, who we thought the Buckeyes would have flipped by now. It seems like that was inevitable. Seems like that would be a done deal. However, he's currently committed to Florida. We thought he was just waiting maybe to see who they hired. They've made the hire and still no word. That's why Alex Gleitman, again, from On3, saying for Bronaugh, predicting for Bronaugh, probably not going to happen for the Buckeyes. He's drawn to his home state. They don't hate the hire with John Summerall, and it seems like everything's going to be okay there for Bronaugh. So upsetting for Ohio State not to get him, but definitely, one of those things where I said in my video the other day, everything from here on out, addition-wise, is just bonuses. This is a good class that they worked hard to add to. Speaking of adding to it, another name they're looking to flip and make a Buckeye on top of Bronaugh. I still think they have some interest there. Kaden Gebhardt, 2026 class, 3-star. And again, this is in addition to your secondary, possibly currently committed to Clemson at the moment. But again, Gleitman making that prediction that the Buckeyes could swing Gebhardt at the last second. So keep an eye on Bronaugh and Gebhardt to flip to Ohio State heading into these early signing period days. Wow, we covered it all. And look, I know flips aren't fun to talk about, so I thought we'd finish on a fun note. The 2026 class, the Buckeyes worked really hard to put this bad boy together to move from that 9 spot all the way up to 5 and possibly 4. We'll see where they finish in it. If you're watching on mobile, where the comment section is, swipe right, smash that hype button if you're hyped for the class of 2026.